Hello and welcome back to FPL Crusaders channel. We are doing transfer plans. So this is the part of the week that I love. Midweek, all the hope is up in the air. We think all of our transfer plans are going to go amazingly. None of them will go rogue. None of them will be horrible. That might be because of my last few game weeks performance. But this week, we are talking about transfers based on extra money we have in the bank or some transfers we need to make. So who first has cash in the bank? I do. I've got 6.5 million in the bank, or 6.2, and it's because the man on the right there, Mr. Erling Haaland. He's on struggle street. He's 14.8 million. I got rid of him for Isaac last week, and they both scored the same amount of points. So essentially, I invested a like for like and end up with 6 million in my bank. If I was doing this in real time, then I'd be absolutely the next Elon Musk. Probably wouldn't be, but there you go. He's on struggle street. He scored against the worst team in the league. His confidence is still down. He missed a pen the week before, and I said it again, 14.8 million, because it's a lot, right? The only one person in the league who should be around that particular amount, let's turn the volume up here, around that particular amount, volume's fine, is Mo Salah. So if you've sold him or you're holding on to him, maybe a couple of games and get rid of him, but if like me, it's just your team's so dull with him, Salah, and Palmer. It's just, it doesn't work. Secondly, Bruno, he was banned for game week 20. They got done by Wolves. 1 game ban. He's back for Liverpool, and they're in bad shape. He's not cheap. He's 8.3. You probably don't need him moving forward. Half of their good fixtures are gone. Saka, once again, 10.3 million. It's been confirmed he'll be out to game week 28. There's another 9 game weeks to go. He's number 4 for midfielders in terms of points, but that'll change soon. Arsenal will move on. This is the first time in reality Arsenal have had to find a way without Saka. It's always been without Odegaard, without, dare I say, Havertz, or whoever else they've got now. They're all bit part players, really. He's the one that, him and Odegaard previously have been the ones that constantly do all the scoring and all the assisting. So without him, they'll need to find a way. I think Martinelli might be a solution there, but this pod today is more about what to do with the cash. So I'm going to have 4 players from each position, except goalies, because, and then we'll talk about where they sit in the league, and then why you'd bring them in. So let's go with the defenders first. If you've got some flush money, and then you maybe want some defenders. If you're flush with money and you want some defenders, these 4 are probably my best pick. And for all the players we are highlighting, I've got their fixtures down the bottom as well, up to 28, just because it just felt good doing 28. So we've got Daniel Munoz, Anthony Robinson, obviously Trent, he's just come off a haul, and then we've got Ola Aina as well, who is the number 1 points getter in FPL. In terms of XA, Trent's way ahead of everyone. He's almost 1.2 ahead of Davis. He is 1.2 ahead of Davis, almost. And then Hall's there as well, which is very interesting. So if you got Hall and you stuck with him, well done. 3.01. Luka Dean's there. Luka Dean doesn't get a lot of assists. He gets expected assists, but you don't actually get much out of him. So I've had him in the past, and it's just more frustrating. Robinson is there in, let's call that 5th. Ola Aina's not there at all. But then we've got lights of Mitchell, which is interesting. Robertson, Pedro Porro, Vardiol, he's a frequent flyer, and then Kyle Walker-Peters, but you're not going to go to Southampton. In terms of XG, it's Munoz. He is the number 1 defender in XG. He's had over 40 touches in the box. Milinkovic, Vardiol, Gabriel, Collins, Saliba. Collins is interesting. That has to be just from set pieces there as well. Ryan Aitnori. I had him for his good fixture run. He did nothing. In fact, he got me less than 1 point a game, and then he's gone ahead and got 2 assists away to Spurs. Maxence Lacroix, the football manager / FIFA / EAFC legend. He always brought him in because he was tall, fast, and he could do what he wants. Kilman and Shah. So the XG there is really interesting. So you're either going to go a Forest defender, or if you don't have Munoz, I really suggest you get there. In terms of points, Ola Aina is number 1. Trent's number 2. But look at the difference there. So an entire 2 million. Then you've got the likes of Gabriel Hall. Interesting. He's getting up there. He might be a must-have. I'm not going to use the E word. Milinkovic, Van Dijk, Vardiol, Saliba, Young, and Marula. Young sliding down there. But if we look at the fixtures down the bottom there for these defenders, Crystal Palace, they've got Chelsea this week. They're at home, but then they've got a series of amazing fixtures there. Even 24 with United, you consider that a green fixture as well. Then there goes Everton, away to Fulham, the mighty Fulham. I wouldn't say that's a green, but then Villa and Ipswich. Fulham themselves, Anthony Robinson. A lot of people were going for Timmy Castagne, but hey, you do what you want. I would personally go with Anthony Robinson as a Fulham supporter. I think he's got that little bit more of an upside, and he combines better with Iwobi. But Timmy Chestnuts is doing pretty well this season. I had a message the other day why I call them Timmy Chestnuts. Apparently in French, Castagne means chestnut. So that's just what the fans call them. I'm assuming they did that at his previous club at Leicester as well. Liverpool doesn't look like they've got an easy run, but I mean, they're playing so well that they're running away with the title. So they've got their rivalry with United, which they should trounce them. Then they travel to Forest. That will be a top of the table clash. It'll be very interesting to see who comes with that. There's a big break between 20 and 21. I think the deadline for 20 is either the 4th, or depending on what time zone you're in, and then 21 is the 15th. Then we've got Brentford, Ipswich, Bournemouth, Wolves, and then they've got City in 26. Who knows what City will look like then. In terms of Forest, I've got Wolves. They should win that. They'll away to Wolves. You'd think it would be a clean sheet, but I don't know. The way Cunha's playing, he is flagged, but the way he's playing, who knows. Then they've got a tough one at home to Liverpool, followed up by Southampton. So they play the first and they play last. Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham, and then they've got 3 red fixtures, which is away to Newcastle. Given their form, I know this is still 7 game weeks away. You think Newcastle should win that. Then they're at home to Arsenal and City. That's 2 tough fixtures there. Tough for them. Might be tougher for City. But yeah, so they're the top 4 for me that I'm looking to bring in over this next run. This is probably me thinking up towards game week 24, because that's when we need to make the decision about the Arsemanship, and it could even be a new window for wildcards as well. So those are the defenders: Munoz, Robinson, obviously Trent if you've got the coin, and Ola Aina. Let's have a look at midfielders now. The 4 I've chosen here are Martinelli, Ismail Assar, Phil Foden. I did this a couple of days ago before. I don't know what's going on with Foden this year. But anyway, we'll digress. Phil Foden and Anthony Gordon. So the reason why Martinelli is because he won't feature on any of these, but he's just... previously, when Saka isn't scoring and Odegaard was looking to assist, it was him. But that could be any one of the 4 of them now. Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, and Jesus. So you just don't know. But Martinelli's a bit of a player I like to bring into my team. And over the previous seasons, he's gotten me a lot of good points. In terms of XA, Saka is number 1, but that doesn't matter anymore. Obviously, you got your Palmer and your Maddison. You got Bowen. Foden's up there, considering he's missed quite a few games. Salah's obviously there. He should be number 1. He's got the most assists. Brian and Mbeumo, their fixtures aren't that flash, so I wouldn't go with him. Dwight McNeil, no. Tielemans and Anthony Gordon. Tough start to the season for Anthony Gordon, but he's playing much better now, so he's definitely on my radar. In terms of XG, you've got the 2 legends up top, Salah and Palmer. Johnson's doing well again. He's almost fighting them for XG. So we've got Salah at 14, Palmer at 10, and then Johnson at 8. And the next one is Kluivert at 6, but if you take away Kluivert's penalties, it wouldn't be as high. He's still playing relatively well, but I probably wouldn't bring him in to my team for myself. Bruno and then Gordon. Semenyo's there as well. Madueke, Diaz, and then Mbeumo. So they're all players that you have on your radar anyway, but they're probably not the ones you want to bring in over the next few game weeks. But in terms of points, it's a runaway leader, Salah. He's on 200 points already. He's only halfway through. Can he crack 400? He will definitely beat his previous record of 300. Palmer's, well, I wouldn't say biting at his heels, but he's not shying away. He just had a couple of blanks recently. And Mbeumo, Saka, Maddison, Diaz. Bowen's there again. No one picks Bowen, but he keeps chugging along. Rodgers is just behind him, saved 2 million. What does that say? Interesting, Rodgers, when everyone was going in for Rodgers around game week 4, 5, 6, he was well down, but he's been returning consistently. He's got more points than Johnson and Iwobi. So Rodgers has to be on the radar there, I believe. He will be for me anyway. Let's look at the fixtures for Arsenal. It's a bit hit and miss, yeah? They've got Brighton away, so they won't keep it clean there. Then they got the North London derby. They won't keep it clean there. Villa will travel there. Villa don't travel well, so they'll probably win that one. Then they travel to Wolves. Then they host City. It's all over the place. It's not really till 25, 26 that it starts getting better. But then 27, they've got Forest, and then 28, they're away at Old Trafford. If United are better by then, that could be a tough fixture, but sometimes they choke against United, so you just never know. Crystal Palace, they probably have the best fixture run over the next few game weeks. They host Chelsea, and then they got Leicester, West Ham, Brentford, United, Everton. They come up against the might of Fulham in game week 26. And then 28, they've got Ipswich. So that's a really good run. So that's why Ismaila Sarr's made the list there. Man City, they got West Ham, Brentford, Ipswich, Chelsea, Arsenal. It's not good, eh? Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham. They'll lose all of them on current form. I mean, they're probably going to lose everything on current form, but I could see them beating West Ham. Brentford will score against them in 21, but I'm not really sure how they can hold them out. And then they got Forest in 28. Didn't see that. Okay. Yeah. For me, I'd rather go Savio. He's playing so well. Well, he did last week, but he looks dangerous at least. Foden just a bit much. But if you got that coin and it burns a hole in your pocket and you only have one place to get, then he's probably the best one so far. Newcastle, a lot of people are dipping into Newcastle. They're away to Spurs next week. Then they've got Wolves, Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham, City, Forest, Liverpool. So 3 there that they will struggle with. But then after that, you got West Ham and it starts getting better. So if I had to make 2 transfers right now, I'd probably avoid Arsenal. I'll go Sarr and Gordon. They'll be the 2 I'd bring into my team currently. But there's a 4 for you. The Foden thing is really frustrating. Is it him? Is it De Bruyne? Is it no one? It has to be someone, doesn't it? You can't have a 4-time defending champion and you not have any of their players in your team. It just doesn't make sense. If you want to pump some money into the forward line, which I'm not really sure if you should do long term, considering the amount of extra bonus points and extra points that midfielders get, we should probably stack our midfield. But the ones I'm focusing on there are Ollie Watkins, Cody Gakpo, who's getting a lot of game time. He started 7 out of the last 8. Rasmus Haaland in a crap team. He's still looking good. And, of course, Alexander Isak. If you don't have Isak already, what more needs to be said? In terms of XA, Cunha's way ahead of everyone else. We know that. Isaac's in there, Vardy, Gakpo, João Pedro, Raul, Havertz, Watkins, Evan Nielsen, and then Haaland. Not many XAs in terms of strikers. Look, Haaland's 10th, and it's only just over 1, and we've had 18 games. A lot of the strikers are actually strikers, or a lot of the forwards are actually bang-on strikers this year where they're not doing much XA at all. I expect Watkins to be high, considering how many assists he got last year. The XG, Haaland scored 13 goals early. That's always going to be high, but Isaac and Watkins are catching him. Jackson's been there or thereabouts for the last few weeks, same with Havertz and Solanke. Wood doesn't get XG from his goals. He just scores. And then Wisser, Evan Nielsen, and Vardy. So that XG line is basically all your options for forwards moving forward. But I've narrowed it down to just 4 of them. And the reason why I'm doing top 4s instead of top 5s is I literally couldn't fit it in the screen. So there we go. In terms of points, it was Cunha for weeks that was number 1, but now it's Isaac, Cunha, Haaland, Chris Wood. He'll come good again. Same with Jackson. I expect Watkins to run up the list very soon. Strand Larsen's done very well. Same with Evan Nielsen. I didn't expect those 2 to be so high this time of the year, I should say. And Havertz, I expected him to be better, but I learnt my lesson there. But let's have a look at the fixtures. In terms of Aston Villa, the entry point for Ollie Watkins has to be this week at home to Leicester. They travel to Everton. They travel to Arsenal. We know they'll struggle travelling. But then they've got West Ham, Wolves, Ipswich, 23, 24, 25. Beautiful fixtures there. And 26 to 28. They say they're red, but I think they can get on top of them. In terms of Liverpool, Cody Gakpo, if he keeps his starting position, we'll see what happens. But he's got Manchester United and Forest. But his entry point is probably game week 23. Away to Brentford, maybe. That might not be too bad in 22, but definitely at home to Ipswich, away to Bournemouth, and home to Wolves. And then, as I said, in game week 26, they've got City, but you just don't know what City will show up. Manchester United, if you want Haaland, wait till 21 because they're away to Anfield this week. Don't even bother. But then they've got 2 good home games in terms of Southampton and Brighton, 2 of the Southern Coast teams, and they're both at home too. So they need to start scoring goals. Then they're away to the might of Fulham, which they will lose, hopefully. Home to Palace. They'll travel to Spurs. Spurs defenders might be fit by then, so we never know. They travel to Everton. That could be a 0-0. So boring. Ipswich and then Arsenal. If it was me, I'd probably go 21 to 24 and then look elsewhere, I'd say. In terms of Newcastle for Alexander Isaac, if you don't have him over the last couple of game weeks, fair enough, but he's probably a season keeper right now. He's playing so well. He's going to score this week against Tottenham. Then they've got Wolves and Bournemouth both at home. We know how good they are playing at home. Then they've got Southampton and then Fulham, City, Forest, Liverpool, and Wolves. A lot of people seem to have City, Forest, and Liverpool in a row. Not necessarily in that order, but a few of these that I've been reading out is very similar. Traveling to City, who knows? Home to Forest, they should be able to keep them dry. Traveling to Anfield, that'll be the big test. That'll be the test by game week 27. If they've been playing well right up until then, are they a team that's going to contend for the title either this year or next year? That'll be the big marker for them. And then, as I said, traveling to West Ham. Any team in the league can travel to West Ham and do well. And that's nothing against West Ham. It just doesn't have a moment of aura. I mean, there's bubbles all around the stadium. It feels like a kid's party. These are the forwards I've been thinking of. Watkins, Isaac, I want those two, but that chews up a lot of that Haaland money. If you want a bit of a rogue one, go Haaland. But if you want to double up on Liverpool and you don't want to go Diaz because he doesn't start every game, I'd say Gakpo. These would be the ones I'll go for. Excuse me, my voice is breaking. I must be going through puberty again. So I've done a bit of a mock-up of what my team would look like up until game week 24. I've already done my spoiler. I've already done a transfer this week, and a young Ollie Watkins will be in my team. But if I had 4 more transfers to use over the next 4 game weeks, the likelihood of me bringing them in would be the players on the right there. I get confused left and right. On the right. As you look at it, will be Morgan Rogers, Ismail Assar, Anthony Gordon, and Ola Aina. Not necessarily in that order. I think I want Gordon in beforehand. And I'm not really sure if I want Aina or Lewis Hall. I just think Forest clean sheet potential long-term is much better. But if you have Hall now, stick with him, I reckon. So why game week 24 am I focusing on? Well, that could be a good time for the Arsman chip or assistant manager chip. Could also be a good chance for a wild card, depending on how horrible my season's going. You'll notice from this team, I've got double Newcastle and double Villa. I've got permanent captain on Mo Salah most weeks. I've still got Evan Nielsen, even though he's at home to Liverpool in game week 24. I might have overlooked that. I might be better off playing as Ismail Assar in that game, to be honest. Away to Manchester United, he's still going to play well. He was unlucky not to get returns this week. I know Eze got the goals, and people are going to absolutely steam into Eze because he got the goals. But I think this guy, he had a couple of good saves, and I think he'll keep producing the chances, and eventually the goals and assists will come. My issues are with my defense, to be honest. If Aina comes in, that's fine. But then I've got Robinson, Munoz, Timber, and then Aina as a 4. Like I said, it could be Hall. I don't have a lot of money in the bank once I do all these transfers. The money's very well spread out. That being said, after 25 or 26, I can hop off Watkins, pump some more money into my 4th midfielder or 5th midfielder if I need to. Could be a double transfer for Watkins and Rogers. Maybe that's the time we can bring back Cunha, because I think his fixtures get relatively better then, and then I can pump some more money into my midfield, which is probably when Bowen's fixtures turn as well. Either way, the front 8 looks relatively good. There's only one guy down the bottom there in phase who probably won't see the light of day, but as a 4.0, I just want to keep him there. I don't see myself having that many issues in the team where I need to play him. I've got no Arsenal attack. I've also got no worries about that because I'm not entirely sure who to go with. So this will be the team in game week 24 if everything goes to plan and there's no more if there's no more injuries or suspensions. This is how it goes. So starting team would be probably Verbruggen over Flicking, considering he's still flagged. Aina, Munoz, Timber, Rogers, Salah captain, Palmer, Gordon, Watkins, Evan Nielsen, Isaac, and potentially benching Evan Nielsen for Ismail Assar. I mean, why wouldn't you play him against Manchester United the way they're playing? So I'm pretty happy with this team. It looks pretty good. I think there's going to be a fair few points coming in if I get some of these players in. As I said to you earlier, I've already made the transfer this week for Ollie Watkins coming in for João Pedro. It's just a decision I've made because I want to capitalize on Ollie Watkins' good fixtures coming up. And if we just go back one slide, thanks. Leicester, game week 20. And I think he can do some damage in 21 and 22 as well. So don't forget Duran's suspended for 3 game weeks. And don't quote me, but I think it might be 2 Premier League and 1 Cup game, but don't quote me on that. You have to do your own research there. But after that, 23 to 25, that's juicy. That's when I want Watkins for. I'll get off him in 26 because his fixtures get a bit rough. And that way I can get more people along and spread out some of those funds, specifically into the midfield, as I was saying before. I said it might be 26, but yeah, or 25, but I think it's 26 or 27. But we'll probably do then. The only issue here for me is that, it's flexible enough, but if I get a lot of injuries, I have to take some hits. I might just pull the wild card. The other issue is that I'm not saving any transfers. However, I think most I've had in the bank this year is 2. I know a lot of people had 5 because I've been playing the game so well, but that's just not where I'm at. I'm ranked 2.5 million and I'm dropping the opposite way. So I need to make some consistent marches forward. I think this team looks good. This will give me a lot of points and then it'll set me up for a really good finish to the season. All right, that's all I had time for today in terms of my transfer plans. Let me know what transfers you're thinking of over the next couple of game weeks, and maybe I can incorporate them into some of my future videos. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.